Welcome to the Beats and Balance podcast, a space for conversations at the intersection of creativity, healing, and community. Each week, we sit down with artists, healers, and everyday people to explore stories of transformation, resilience, and the ways we use creativity to survive and thrive.
In this conversation, we're exploring your creative journey, the role of divine alignment in your artistic process, and what it means to practice creative survival while being rooted in ancestral wisdom. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tell me about your work and the role that divine alignment plays in your creative process.
Well, as of now, I am the sole creator of 222.9, the Mothership Internet Radio. And the whole thing is divine assignment, actually. It's a radio station that is dedicated to preserving the wisdom of the ancestors through old school soul-feeding music, because our elders and our ancestors were singing a lot of the sciences that we're looking up on Google right now. And the radio station carries 7 different radio music rotations that are in alignment with the 7 main planets and the 7 main Orisha. So it's dedicated to keeping people spiritually positive and uplifted, giving soul-feeding music while creating an alignment with the planets and teaching about the quasars as well as the Orishas.
Very, very cool. How did you come up with the concept? What was your journey that brought you to creating the radio station?
Well, I'm sorry to laugh, but radio for me was most definitely a calling. Radio was not the plan. It actually started 21 years ago at Prairie View A&M University, where I was a major in theater, and we had these sophomore projects where you have to do a certain performance-based final to pass to the next course. And actually, my partner selected the play that we did for the project. And long story short, I played a radio personality as a character in a stage play before I became one in real life.
Wow.
So first,
that's definitely alignment.
Yes. So I played a radio personality. And then 3 months later, I would go on to KPVU 91.3. And I still wasn't expecting to go on the air. I started out arranging CDs in the music library in alphabetical order. And then from there, I went to recording voiceovers. And then from there, I went on the air. But music in itself has always been a huge part of my being. When I was I'm the youngest of all of my siblings. So, and there was a time where all of us were living in the same house. And I'm the little one that's absorbing everything around me. And so there was a different sound coming out of every room in the house. My parents, I have older parents. And so they were on their Motown era. So that's where I was getting all of the Temptations and Marvin Gaye and Diana Ross and, Aretha Franklin. I was getting all of that from my parents. But then my oldest brother was also on the old school tip, but I got a lot of my traditional jazz, music like that from him, old school hip hop, things like that. But then my sister was on her alternative rock thing. So coming out of her room, I was hearing, Ozzy Osbourne, Def Leppard, AC/DC, Soundgarden, Van Halen. And then my second youngest brother, we were kind of staying hip on what was current in the 90s. So I was absorbing all of that the whole time anyway. So by the time I got to college, music was second nature. And then from there, I trained some under Donna Franklin at KTSU, KPFT in Houston, just keeping my hands on my craft no matter what. But then in 2014 was when I went into my profession as a psychic advisor. And that's where all the study of astrology, numerology, and all of that came in. So no matter what, I was never without music. So it was more like this gumbo pot that all these different ingredients were being stirred into. And in 2021, I put it all together and threw it on the air.
Very cool.
Thank you.
That's wild. It's like it's your life story, not your life story, but your way of getting into music is very similar to mine. And I always think that's interesting. I think a lot of people I know that are deeply into music have similar experiences where they just were exposed to all different types. And I always think that's really cool to see how people bring that together.
Yeah, so Beats and Balance was a dead giveaway. When I saw Beats and Balance, I said, okay,
Yeah.
she sounds like me. Let me fill this out.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same story, like trying to figure out how I could combine everything in my background and do something that I love without working for somebody else. And also giving back to the community and spreading the healing. But yeah, I think that's super dope. Talk to us a little bit about how you got into like astrology and the spiritual part. I think from what I heard, it's not something that you grew up with like in your childhood.
Oh no, I was raised a deacon's daughter, so
okay, yeah,
it
same.
took me some time to shake the thinking that I was going to hell with a full ride scholarship.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I always think that's really interesting, especially when I talk to Black folks. A lot of us grew up in the church, and for me, my grandmother was Pentecostal, and so it was like Halloween was a no-no. Like everything was like witchcraft or a sin.
Yes.
So to be doing tarot and all this stuff today is like kind of crazy considering my background. But I feel like a lot of people I've met recently coming from kind of similar spiritual backgrounds, I don't think it's a mistake or coincidence. I think there's a deep connection to the ways in which Black people have been able to kind of like use the tools that we have at our disposal to maintain like our spiritual connections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same spirits, different names is how I kind of look at it.
Absolutely.
So what was your experience like?
Well, I would say ever since I was a child, I feel like the universe and I had that inside joke. You know, I was always peeking behind the curtain, even when I was in church. You know, even in church, the most connection I felt to God was in the music. My mom used to have to drag me to Sunday service, but if she told me there was a musical, I would beat her to the door. You know, it was interesting. There was a time where, you know, we all know about the dark night of the soul. And one of my spaces of the dark night of the soul for me was between the years of 2010 and 2013. And one day I was sitting at a bus stop at the crossroads, BYSU, and I had the audacity to just ask the Most High God, why am I here? Why am I here? I didn't ask for a better job or another man, or I didn't ask for anything earthly or material. I'm like, God, what's good? Like, why did you put me on this planet? A few days later, I got a call from a psychic line. So I'm like, hello, this is so-and-so with psychics. You know, is so-and-so and so-and-so available? I'm like, hold on for a second. You've got to be kidding me. Because I'm like, I thought this was, and so beginning that journey was the only occupation that I had that was just as, if not more natural than radio.
Interesting.
And so when I began that journey, I sat down with the Most High again. And I said, okay, if this is the path that you're taking me on, I'm not going to be some gypsy fortune teller. I need what's up. And I kid you not, sis. An elder in my community brought me a stack of astrology books and 6 tarot decks. I just bought my first 2 tarot decks out of my pocket last year, and I've been doing it since 2014. My tools literally got dropped in my lap. And these were the really old astrology books with the yellowing pages. And so from there, I would study my craft. I would do my readings because I'm at home now. So I would read, listen to music, do my readings, and study my craft. And from there was how I would discover how it all lined up, because I had the astrology book right here and I had the Bible right here. And then 3 years later, I would go on to initiate as a priestess of Oya in the Orisha tradition. And I'm just keep seeing, like I said, this big gumbo pot of all the ingredients coming together. And when you see how it all lines up, it's undeniable. It's completely undeniable. So that was how that happened. And again, there was always music. There was always music.
Yeah, it definitely resonates a lot, especially when you're talking about like the connection between music, spirit, all those things I think are deeply intertwined. Astrology, life paths, talk a little bit about how divine alignment shows up for you in your creative process, and like what it's like to be in the flow, and how you know you're in the flow versus like trying to push things or getting burnt out.
It feels like second nature now. I would say for anyone that's, embarking on this journey, I would say the beginning is going to be uncomfortable.
Mm.
So let it be uncomfortable, because you are unlearning years of ancestral untruth. The reason why we were raised in the religion we were raised in is because it's the religions that most of our ancestors were forced into when our ways of connecting with the divine were outlawed. But that does not mean that we didn't still carry that energy in our bones. Because think about it. Our grandmothers and aunties and, yes, they all went to church. They all believed in God. But come on. We learned those superstitions. We knew about the candy dish. We knew about not sweeping at night. We knew about if a black cat crossed the road, go the other way. Grandma had her prayer closet. There were candles in there. Christianity,
Yeah.
to me, we hid who we really were under that cloth, because they may have been able to outlaw the traditions, but they couldn't kill what was in our blood. And we are indigenous people. So we are always going to find a way to follow the stars. We have always followed the stars. We have always connected to God through colors and pictures and numbers, and, allow it to, I would say, allow it to flow. When you overthink it, you block yourself. That's really all I can give you on that, because when I look at it, all I've really done was allow my path to be guided and master the art of getting out of my own way. When it comes to burnout, I can't really say I experienced burnout, because I make resting a regular thing. I allow myself to relax before I even go into it, so it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel
Have
like
you always been that way though, or like how did you learn to do that, or that's just always been something that you grew up doing?
no, no. I have overworked myself and exhausted myself at things that I was never aligned with, that I was just doing to keep the bills paid. And so I have a very important part of this journey is allowing yourself to love what it is you're doing. When you relax and let yourself love where you're at, because sometimes we get so focused on the vision of the future that we want to just run into that, hurry, 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 hurry. But you're missing all of the moments of your journey. You can't skip the journey to get to the destination. When you focus on the journey itself, the destinations are many. But when you're focused on one destination, you can really exhaust yourself. So I would say allowing yourself to be present will keep you from getting burned out, because you can't get burned out with something that you're enjoying doing.
Oh, that's real advice. I think for a lot of people, it can be difficult because of the state that we live in with capitalism and trying to figure out how to survive. And like you said, like we're kind of forced to be on this, like, it's intentional. They keep you on kind of like this mouse wheel so that you can't pause and pay attention to what's going on around you. So what is your advice for people that feel like they're kind of stuck in survival mode? Like, how can you begin to kind of break out of that?
Gratitude.
Mm.
Gratitude. Because of course we all have goals, but being in survival mode robs you of living, no matter what you're doing in life. When you get up every day, oh, I gotta survive, I gotta survive, I gotta survive. Remember, there's a difference between surviving and living. And while you may not be where you want to be right now, remember there's someone somewhere that would give anything to be in your shoes. And as women, and I'm going to go there with this, as women, many of us have to learn how to come out of the masculine energy of driving force and learn how to attract what it is you're trying to do, attract what it is you need. And you do that by allowing yourself to be grateful for what you have. Because when you allow yourself to be grateful, you show the universe that you're grateful, the universe will give you more to work with. And that's something, that's real over here, because I can very easily shift into that get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done. But then I find more of a universal pushback from that than when I get up in the morning, breathe, meditate, be present, relax before I get into my day. And everything flows so much better. And it's like with the system of capitalism, we have to understand that is so grass backwards, minus the GR. We're not allowing ourselves to attract instead of, rat race means chase the cheese. We're not rats. We're not rats.
100%.
We're divine people, divine beings.
Right. So let's get into, you mentioned this briefly, but like what ancestral practices and rituals do you use to ground you? Like what advice do you have for people, or is there anything specific that's like your go-to?
First, I would always say align the Ori. What Ifa Orisha tradition teaches about the Ori is the spirit of your consciousness. That's why there's an Ori before the show. Because you can do 1,000,001 offerings, pour 1,000,001 libations. You can do all of that. But if your Ori is not open to receive, then you're just doing a bunch of stuff. You see what I mean? And what I mean by the alignment or how it all works together is that even the Bible says, believe your prayers before you ask for them. And some of us are even praying and doing rituals in survival mode, and we wonder why they're not materializing the way we would like for them to. First, you have to align your mental state to receive and believe in what you are looking to achieve. So I make sure I take a moment to breathe, give thanks, align my consciousness with what I'm doing. And then secondly, I pour libations to my ancestors, because as indigenous people, we always want to honor those that went on before us. Because, indigenous people, especially American indigenous people, our ancestors went through unspeakable things for us to be here today. And many of their dying prayer was that their great-great-grandchildren, us, would be here to live and enjoy the freedoms that they could not. And you don't even have to know their names. If you could just take a glass of water outside and pour it on a plant or pour it on the ground and say, I honor my ancestors, that the ones I know not by name and the ones that I do. Always honor your ancestors. And then from there, whatever your spiritual practice is, whether it's Ifa Orisha, even if it's, I believe that Christians, it's not a sin. If you're a Christian, you can still honor your ancestors. Then, you do your daily prayers according to your respective faith. But aligning your consciousness and honoring your ancestors are the two absolute have-tos.
I love that. It's super important work. I think it's like you said, I don't think it has to be in contrast or conflict with any religious beliefs that you may have when you're dealing with ancestral veneration. It's really about showing respect to the people that came before you, who continue to look over you and watch over you. So,
oh yes,
super real. So tell me a little bit about what is nourishing you right now. What is feeding your soul? What are things that are bringing you joy in the midst of kind of all this chaos that we're experiencing on a worldwide scale? I think it can be really easy for people to get wrapped up into like doom and gloom without realizing that you kind of have to take control of your own mental state in times like this in order to kind of keep your vibration raised and high, which can be difficult because the entire world and all of these forces are intentionally trying to keep your vibration low. So it's like, you're fighting against a lot, but it is possible. So if you have any advice for that, that would be super dope.
The power of the thumb. Swipe left, watch something else. Turn it off. Simple as that. I mean, that's all I can give you. Turn it off. Because it's like hopelessness is a very heavy energy. So I would advise, don't focus too hard on things that you cannot do anything about. Focus on the things you can do something about and do the best with what you have and allow the universe to handle the rest. Because anybody that calls themselves a believer in anything, we were warned that these times were coming. We were warned. We were told. We were told these times were coming. And I feel that, first of all, the media is all controlled. I don't believe that any of us are getting 100% of the truth of what's really going on out there. And personally, I've always been apolitical because I've always believed in the higher powers than the government. So I just kind of, when I would kind of see all that stuff a little bit, and like I said, a little bit, because I would take it in very small pieces. I wouldn't get too far into it. But then not just go and, pray, talk to the divine. What is it that you want? What am I supposed to do with this? And it doesn't really matter how little or how much you have when it comes to divine alignment. You just do the best you can and let the universe handle the rest. And as my godmother would say, watch the magic.
Quick thank you to our listeners. We partnered with Mantra Matcha and Severista Coffee to give you exclusive discounts. Clean, steady matcha energy and smooth, low-caffeine coffee, no jitters. Use code BALANCE.
Yeah, that's solid advice. I think of tuning it out as much as you can. Not bypassing or ignoring, because there's real suffering happening in the world. And I think compassion and empathy is always important.
Absolutely.
But I think, like you said, the media is 100% a propaganda machine. They are intentionally showing the worst of the worst and, gaslighting and all types of things to try to make you scared, annoyed, angry, furious, whatever. So I try to do that too. It's not easy for me, but I try to tune out the noise as much as possible.
But sis, remember the law of duality. You see, we got to go back to the 12 laws and the 42 laws of Maya. I almost said 48, but that's 48 laws of power.
Don't even.
Robert Greene's narcissism. We ain't talking about that.
I hate that book so much.
Actually, I like that book, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the best way to defeat your enemy is to master his weapon.
Yeah, I
master the weapon.
I come from a family full of narcissists and con artists that have used that book for much harm. So I think it's good to know and be aware of it so that you don't get it used on you.
Right.
But anybody that has that, if I come across somebody and that's in your library, and you're like, that's my favorite book, but to me, it's a giant red flag.
Okay.
Yes. I can't. But no, I think it is. It's good to empower yourself. I know of the book, obviously, because I have uncles that have put me onto it because they're like, yo, don't end up like this. But
yeah. I'll say that everyone that I saw use that book and go by that book, things just never ended well for them.
Because it's demonic. That
I mean, the title should be How to Be a Narcissistic A-hole, but anyway.
It's the Trump handbook. Machiavelli is not somebody to aspire to be, is all I'll say. But yeah, going back to what you were saying before.
That's another day's conversation, and how many of our people have idolized the wrong energies. Like, I never understood people who idolize the Bonnie and Clyde kind of relationship. Oh, we like Bonnie and Clyde. I'm like, Bonnie and Clyde were a bunch of people, a couple of cowards who robbed hardworking people and died in a hail of gunfire. That's how you want to go out? All right, you got it.
Yeah, no, I think we definitely do that. Internalize and glorify a lot of toxicity for sure. But yeah.
Yeah. But I would say back to what you were saying about how you kind of struggle to turn that off. Remember the 12 principal universal laws, and which one of them is the law of duality. There is always just as much positive as there is negative. There's just not a lot of capital in peace. So they push the chaos like it's the only thing going on in the world, and it's not.
No, I definitely feel that. It's a struggle for me. I'm somebody that like absorbs a lot of energy. Like I stay pretty isolated because I feel and pick up on everything. So I have to do a lot of spiritual work around like boundaries and clearing my energy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's 100%. First of all, what's happening now is not anything that's not happened before. Like this is a country that was founded on slavery and genocide. There's always been terrible things happening. What's happening now, I think, is that more people are waking up to the fact that the lie that they were told about this being like the American dream or the savior of the world is always been bullshit.
Absolutely. And the ugly, this is an ugly space that has to happen for the real beauty to emerge. This has
Oh
to,
yeah.
it has to happen. And ugly is tough, but I would say, sis, be encouraged in your place in it all. Because if this is how you're feeling, that means that you're on the right side of the road. Because a lot of divine beings are in a space of isolation right now for cleansing, clearing, and preparation. And as you can see, we're organically being united. So things
No,
are
that's
going
very real.
according to plan. So and I would say, silly as it sounds, it works for me. Every day you wake up and you got another day, have a party, even if it's just a mini party. Take some extra time on that tea. That's why I got a whole radio station. Crank up some music and bust a move.
No,
Because
100%.
when you change your vibration, you change the nature of what you attract. Because in fighting off depression myself, once again, music was one of my main medicines. I would just wake up and
100%.
play something with a crazy beat. Like one time I had a 30-day challenge called the Bust a Move Challenge. I'm going to bring it to the station. But I would set James Brown's Sex Machine on my alarm. So every morning it's like, get up, get on up, get up.
Mm-hmm.
Can't help but, and see, when you get to moving, you move negative energy off of you when you dance. And see, our
No,
elders
it's
told
true.
on themselves. They told on it. Because what typically gets said in funk music when the groove get real good to you? Oh, good God. Good who?
Mm-hmm.
Good who? Again, for the people in the back. Because
No,
when you
it's
got
true.
that rhythm, you're moving that medicine around from the inside. And when you can master the art of getting up every day and putting yourself in a good mood, no matter what, you'll be surprised what changes around you, because we're all magnets. So when you stay in a space of worry, you're going to attract more to worry about.
100%.
This
100%.
is all energy. It's all energy. And Orange Man in office, he's just the face of all of our collective greed and hatred. And it's like he is America's mirror. And as much as people may hate what's going on, he's doing his job. He's
Yeah,
doing
no, that's a
exactly what
fact.
he's supposed to be doing in the grand scheme of things. So
No, that's a fact.
so you
I think
keep
you're
your you,
100%
you keep
correct.
your spirits lifted. And if you need a boost, give me a call.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, this is how this podcast and this whole beats and balance business was created, from being in like a really, 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 really down place. Like my wife passed away from cancer in November.
Oh, I'm
I was in a toxic job and I was just like, yeah, nah, like I can't live like this. Life is too short. And just boom, here we are. And now I'm here with you and everybody that I've talked to so far on this podcast. It's it's kind of creepy. Like when it comes out, the line of which everybody's kind of been saying the same kinds of thing has been really like inspiring to me, but also just like a firm reminder of like, yeah, this whole thing. Sometimes I feel like when you isolate and you're into the spiritual thing, you can get into your head a little bit and be like, am I making all this shit up, or like, is this for real, for real? But then you start having people kind of reflecting back to you everything
right.
that's been in your head,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, like,
yeah,
all right, cool. Like
yeah.
the breadcrumbs kind of start coming. And I think having you here today with me, like, I think I'm more quiet today than I've been on a lot of podcasts, but it's really because a lot of things that you're saying, I'm just like, it's another reminder to me of like how aligned everything is.
Well,
I've been kind of like,
you
oh
asked the
god,
universe for the alignment, and here I am.
no, it's like it's crazy to me because I was like, I literally the other week was just like starting to feel like stir crazy. Like I've been kind of isolated for like almost a year. Not completely, like I go out a little bit, but I was like, all right, if I'm supposed to find community, like I'm in a brand new city, me and my wife moved here not on purpose. So I don't have community here. And I'm like, how am I supposed to find community if I'm not going out? And I feel like I'm being called to not go out. Like I feel like I was like being forced to stay in and sit with myself. And you mentioned Dark Night of the Soul, and I've had a few of those in my lifetime. Death is a reoccurring theme for me. But this time it was like no drugs, no alcohol, no running away, no distractions, no dating, no nothing. Like just sit at home and figure it out. And that has been super kind of depressing in one way, but then also once you get past like the worst part of it and you get to the other side and you start feeling like the healing in your body.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an amazing thing that I don't know how to really describe, but all of that is to say that
it's intense
in those moments. Yeah, for sure. Intense. You feel like you're becoming, and that's not, I would say I feel like I'm becoming the person I was before all the bullshit. Like not becoming a new person, but like I think back to like my 6-year-old self, like the 6-year-old me who was like super sure of myself and like didn't give a fuck and like told my mom like, you know, I love you, but I'm not doing this, or like, you know what I mean? Like I had a lot of respect for that person, and somewhere along the way it gets lost with conditioning and stuff. But I feel like the whole goal is to try to get back to that. So hearing you talk about your journey just is a reminder to me of like, all right, this is real. I'm not making it all up. There is a reason that we're here amidst all the chaos and grief that happens. It is really about like where you focus your attention and trying to keep your vibration raised and attracting more of those experiences to you.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Truly.
I want to ask you, like, do you have anything coming up? Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Really, I am. Like, it was hard for me to kind of keep quiet while you were saying all of this, because it's like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. But to answer your question, how do you find community? You don't. You attract it by continuing to do exactly what you're doing. And if nobody told you, I'm going to tell you, I'm proud of you for hanging in there, sis. Because they don't call this the road less traveled for no reason. And it's not easy to face yourself. It's not. Dark Night of the Soul is not easy. And that's why so few people do it. But you're one of the few that did. And I want you to be proud of yourself, really, because I'm proud of you. I'm happy to hear your progress. Of course, I'm not happy to hear how painful and intense it was. But for you to say, I'm getting back to that 6-year-old self, you're returning to your purified essence. And that's what's up. I'm very proud of you. Seriously. And we just met. I'm proud of you. And I'm serious. And I'm saying this loud and clear right here on the podcast. If you need me, call me. You got my email.
I feel it. No, I feel it. I feel teary. I don't know what it is. Like there's something about like a Black woman telling you that they're proud of you that like brings back that instant like mother, grandmother feeling. And I feel like I feel my grandmother's energy in the room now being like, yeah, see, like I told you. So I appreciate that. Like I feel like the message is coming through from my Nana.
Shay,
yeah.
Yes.
I could feel her like on my back, like, yeah, like chill out. You doing? I literally like. I want to say like yesterday, the day before, I was like, yo, just send me a sign that like I'm on the right path. Like let me just know that I'm not doing all this for nothing. And so that's why like I've been sitting here bugged out. Like, all right, like I hear y'all like loud and clear.
I'm chuckling because I'm hearing this Stevie Wonder song. You said, send me a sign. Woo, woo, baby. Here I am. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours.
You see?
Yes, you are on the right path. Yes. Now you got somebody that's about to like pull you like, yeah, go this way.
I'm just like, all right, Pat. Like I feel really blessed to be here right now.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Because your story is going to bring in more. There are others out there. So when you put this one out there, you're going to hear, and the Most High and the ancestors, they're going to make sure how much you know that you're not alone in this journey. You ain't by yourself, not by long shot. And I'm getting another music download, like the song by Earth, Wind, and Fire, Fantasy. The lyric in that
it's
song.
crazy because Stevie and Earth, Wind, and Fire, those are two of my favorites. I'm also a big like soul music. Soul and funk music are what have saved my life, my whole life. I'm like an old soul like that. Like my grandparents were like, where did you hear? Like Bill Withers was always my dude. But
yes,
yeah, I feel that.
But the lyric in the Earth, Wind, and Fire song Fantasy, I want you to remember this lyric. You will find other kind that has been in search of you. Many lives have brought you to recognize. Now you're in review. That lyric is in the song Fantasy.
No, I know. I'm impressed that you know it verbatim. That song to me in particular, like that whole song to me sounds like a spiritual download. Like they were just literally just
and that
transmission.
It is. And that was like all of that. That was why I had to start the Mothership, because I would hear all this secular music and devil music. And I'm like, how is Maze and Frankie Beverly singing We Are One? How is that devil music?
That's straight from the soul.
How is Aretha Franklin saying I am your bridge over troubled water? How is that? How is that Stevie Wonder telling our story, living for the city, or the Rotary connection? I am the black gold of the sun. How is that evil?
No.
But that's,
to me, those are my Negro spirituals. Like that's my church music.
Right. So you got me. Oh, but also I have sleep meditation at midnight, from midnight to 6 a.m., where every night of the week focuses on aligning a different chakra. And then from 7 to 9, I play Orisha music for those of us that are in the Ifa tradition that want to connect to a different Orisha every day of the week. So what do I have coming up? Well, just the 24/7 groove right now and getting the word out, because this is a whole 24/7 clock. And I wanted that in place where anyone, anywhere can tune in, for free and get their spirit and their soul fed. Because, as a reader, you have to charge for reading sessions when it's what you do. You have to charge for spiritual work if that's, what you do for a living. But I insisted on having something in place for free. I insisted on having something that people can just tap into and get their spirit and their soul fed, to get something. I had to give something for free to even be okay with charging for doing spirit work. So that was another reason I started the Mothership. And so I get to give the best thing and my favorite thing for free. And
it's music is I think the most healing thing.
It is
one of the most healing things definitely on this planet. Tell people where they can find your radio station.
Google search 222.9 The Mothership, and everything will pop up. And is there somewhere where I can post a link, or do I just email that link to you?
Yeah, email the link, and I'll definitely put it on the show notes and in the comments in the caption whenever we post social media, for sure. Or if you have a flyer too.
Okay, and this too, if you're open to it, I would like to feature some of your other episodes on the Mothership's rotation, because it would be nothing to just get the audio and throw it on the air and let everyone else hear, your other interviews, not just mine. So if you're open,
if you want to.
That may be something we need to talk about off camera, but I want this connection, because it's time. We're ascending to the 5D. We went into the Aquarian age in November of last year. And so part of the reason why you've been isolated for so long is because the divine has reserved you to elevate for the Aquarian age. And there will be people that will be taking your testimony and feeling more confident in what they're going through. It's a never-ending cycle.
No, I feel that deeply. I feel that very deeply. It's the same thing that you said before, like the question that I always ask. And the only question that I really ever ask is, why am I here? You know what I mean? Like at this point in my life, everybody I love is dead. There's more people on the other side than there are on this planet for me. And so my grief around death is like, why did y'all leave me here? You know what I mean? Like, it's never like, I don't feel bad for them. Like, I'm like, why am I stuck here? And so I'm constantly asking that question. And it's the same answer that you just gave right now. It's like, yo, your testimony. And so I'm like, damn, like, all right, I hear y'all. I got it. I appreciate you.
You have a job to do.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that like, I don't feel like I'm from this planet. Like, real talk. Like, I'm like, all right, like, what's my mission? I'm trying to go back to wherever I came from. But while I'm here.
I feel you. Why do you think the radio station is spaceship themed?
No, I saw, like, when I saw the name, I was like, all right, so that's fam. Because it like, there's, that's another thing that's another conversation. But like, there's a lot more to the universe than just this little planet that we're on. But we'll save that for another time. I really appreciate you for being on here. really like fed my soul in ways and made me feel connections to my folks. And I'm really super grateful for that. I think that was the pick me up that I needed, that I didn't know that I needed. And it's a full moon tonight too.
Yes. And full
Coming in
moon in
strong.
Aquarius at that, fresh out the Lion's Gate that was last night.
Yeah.
And
That
then
888 portal.
tomorrow we have planetary alignment.
Mm-hmm. And soon Mercury retrograde is about to be done. We had some technical difficulties starting this, and I was reminded again, like, why did you do this during Mercury retrograde? But we almost out of here.
Well, some of us were meant to drive through the storms.
Yeah, we pushing through no matter what. I ain't got time to wait anymore. I'm just moving. Just take the hiccups as they come. But I appreciate you again. Again, to everybody, the radio station is the Mothership Internet Radio Station 222.9, the Mothership Internet Radio Station. You can Google that. You can also look in the comments, the caption. We're going to have the link for you there. Really, really, really appreciate you being on. And we'll definitely do some collaborations and things like that in the future.
Really.
And yeah, anything else you want to say to close out?
Well, I'll say the same thing that I say every night on my cosmic weather forecast. Remember that the sky is big enough for us all to be stars. Beam up.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
All right.
And you.
All right, y'all.
And you, Miss Lady, I have a homework assignment for you.
All right.
My homework assignment for you is find your overjoyed happy place. What is it that keeps you happy and giggly and bubbly? Because that's what's going to increase your ashe. Joy increases ashe, and you deserve to be happy.
I appreciate you. That's real. That's a word. Ashe.
Ashe.
All right. Thank you so much. Everybody, we'll see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Our vibes stay sacred. Our roots run deep.